Hi everyone, I'm very excited today to announce the launch of a new Future of Work Institute service, Future of Wellness, an enterprise level wellness offering that harnesses the unique competencies, skill sets and deep expertise across the CPL group. And here to tell us all about it is Future of Work lead, Elysia Hegarty. Elysia, how are you?
Hi, how are things? Thanks so much.
Almost fell over your title there, Elysia.
Yeah, don't worry. It's a bit of a tongue twister.
Exactly, yeah. So look, Elysia, exciting day for us at the Future Work Institute. We're launching this kind of new offering, but actually this has been a few years in the making. We've done pilots, case studies, worked with clients, we've harnessed all sorts of capabilities across the CPL group. Can you tell us just a little bit about the offering? Tell us about, the different elements in there and how it came to be.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's definitely an exciting day, and the past 2 years has been an experience as well. CPL have been providing health, safety, and wellness services for over 20 years. We have a company dedicated to health and safety. We have another dedicated to health screening and OC Health, that we know CPL's Future of Work Institute. We've been doing, wellness design and consultancy. So what the essence of this brand really is a convergence of all of our service offerings into one overarching brand. And one of the reasons we've kind of called it Future of Wellness is because at the Future of Work Institute, we're very focused on what's evolving and what's uncovering, as we move into different ways of working. So again, whilst we have all of these services can be used separately, what we were finding from our clients was they were kind of struggling to really knit the elements of health, safety, and wellness together, rather than using, say, multiple vendors that don't necessarily understand the connection of them all. So with this brand, we can really provide it under one umbrella, and it's quite unique in that sense.
Yeah, and I think, Elysia, it's one of the things I know we've worked on a lot, which is this idea of a much more strategic and holistic approach, right, to wellness. So I suppose the big question, I suppose people are asking out there, why this offer? Why now? Why should C-suite executives really kind of start talking about it? I think we've probably hit the first wave of wellness where people are using some bits and pieces, but why now for a kind of a more enterprise level approach to this stuff?
Yeah, and I think we're all probably sick of hearing about COVID at this stage, but it really has, in my opinion, it's catapulted health, safety and wellness forward by years. And a lot of organizations in the last year have kind of upped the ante on it and really focused on maintaining the physical and psychological health of their employees, not just for branding or a tick box exercise, but they were coming to us to really want to enhance the well-being of their employees. We also know that the rates of burnout are extremely high in the last year or so. And we know also that the organization has been long known as, or the workplace has been long known as, one of the leading causes of stress. And I truly believe that the workplace can be a place that really enhances people's well-being. It doesn't necessarily need to diminish it. And we're also starting to see employers use it strategically to enhance business performance. So it's not a case as we're going to work you harder because we have a wellness program. It's more a case of, well, we have some lovely tools over here if work gets a little bit overwhelming, and we know that if we encourage you to use it, you'll be healthier, you'll be happier, and you'll be more productive. And I think that organizations, yes, there is an obligation for organizations to make sure that the organization or workplace isn't a place that diminishes people's health and well-being. So organizations definitely want to do it for that reason. But equally, I think executives are starting to see that, well, if we invest in this, we'll see a return and it will impact our bottom line ultimately.
Yeah. And I think, Elysia, let's call a spade a spade. The wellness thing has been around for a while. I suppose over the past kind of 5 years, how has this idea of organizational wellness evolved? You know, what's the good and the bad of what you've seen from your research and from the various kind of projects you've been involved in?
Yeah, very interesting. And I'll be the first to say that, you know, I've made mistakes, you know, and learned from them as well. And I've been in the area of workplace wellness for a number of years. And I remember was to design wellness programs for organizations. I was, you know, bringing health experts in to deliver classes and seminars and whatnot. But what I really found was that people were still stressed. People were still unwell. It wasn't really having the impact that I wanted it to have. And this really kind of kick-started the, you know, my whole process and kind of questioning, well, what actually is the root cause of stress or unwellness within organizations? And this has really this has driven our research. It's where our diagnostic has come from, and it's really where our approach comes from with all of our clients. We're always asking, well, what is going to have the biggest impact here? What's the biggest contributing impact here to people's unwellness or their, you know, diminishing their physical or psychological well-being? And then what interventions can we then kind of put in place? And I haven't really necessarily seen that approach anywhere else. Most other approaches focus on this one size fits all. You know, what company X gets, company Y gets also. You might have a menu of activities to choose from. And yes, that may be more cost effective, but is it going to have the impact in the long run? And when you actually look under the hood and you start to understand what the root cause is, it might not be what you think. It might not mean more step challenges is the answer. It might mean that your leaders need to be upskilled, or, you know, that you need to implement what I call more atypical wellness solutions, like inclusiveness training, or, you know, maybe you need to look at different elements that are those contributing factors. So it can be relatively broad than what our traditional sense of wellness might be.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting. I think it leads me to my next question, Elysia. Look, we've obviously, in order to deliver something like this kind of offering, we've had to kind of pull on a rich tapestry, if we want to call it, different levels of expertise across the CPL group across Europe. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Can you tell us a little bit those different elements of the jigsaw that we've had to pull together? You know, and I know obviously you mentioned the diagnostic earlier, and might give us a sense of when we talk about, you know, wellness and we talk about the future of wellness, you know, what those elements include. I think that's also very useful to just give us a sense of how you pull all this stuff together.
Yeah. So when we were, I suppose, conducting our research and speaking with clients and doing case studies, we found that most programs will focus on what we call education. So teaching the employee how to get and be healthy, and doing that through seminars, webinars, and training. And that's all brilliant. It's really, really good. It's probably what you had said, you know, the previous approach, the older approach to well-being. Because here, if I was to ask you or anyone here listening to this, you know, what could you do tomorrow to improve your health and well-being? We all know we need to move more, we need to make better food choices, we need to get to bed early, and we need to do something every day that relaxes us. Generally, we know what's going to be good for us. It's really the making those changes and making the next step and taking the action that's really the problem. And so what we were finding, we just kept coming back to these 6 components of well-being, which we find all programs need to have in order to be impactful. And they're strategy, education, because it's still important, personalization, engagement, hybrid delivery, and that it's measurable. And we find if one of these elements is left out, it has a knock-on effect then on the engagement and the overall impact. So our amalgamation of expertise is designed across all of these. So we have broad skills of, you know, health coaches, psychologists, doctors, nurses, who have the skills to be an expertise to be able to educate people, but also to be able to provide the personalization side of things. And then equally, we also, as you mentioned, our diagnostic tool, which supports obviously the strategy and the measurement side of things. And this is really, as I said previously, it looks at the root cause, but it's looking at it across 8 dimensions of wellness. So whilst traditionally, you know, a huge focus on wellness is psychological and physical, we also know that, if spiritual wellness or social wellness, which is big at the moment, if there's a lack of those areas that has an impact, occupational, intellectual, environmental wellness, they can all have an impact on people's health and well-being. So it's really looking at it through a much broader lens rather than narrowly, because what we find is, in actual fact, the factors that are really contributing to people's health or unwellness, as we call it, are not really what you think. And then it's being able to measure that, and we can do that through a number of different ways to really understand what the long-term impact is. And then the other aspects then are, we have also partnered with a technology partner in Peel, who will also enable us to be able to deliver wellness interventions through a hybrid, virtual ways as well. And I really think that this is where the future of wellness is going to go, because the workplace is going to be so different for so many people. I think organizations are going to want to know, what can you deliver for me physically in person? What can you deliver by technology? And then what can you do kind of half and half? Because they're going to have people who maybe are working on site, or people who are dispersed throughout the country or the globe, So I think definitely being able to do those hybrid delivery options are going to be really important moving forward.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. And just on that, I mean, I think one of the really great things about the CPL group is our ability to pull from different parts of the organization deep expertise in core areas that quite uniquely we can kind of pull together, because as you know, we've done a number of projects where leadership behaviors might have been a problem, not necessarily immediately linked to wellness, but it's our unique ability to maybe pull those different things together to deliver total solution, which is really what's exciting us, I think, in terms of the offering. I'm interested as well, just in terms of questions we get asked a lot around, where should I start, right? So we might have already dipped our toe into some of this stuff, but we really want to kind of make this more real. We want to create greater business impact. In relation to the offering, Elysia, where would you recommend a senior leader to start when it comes to proper, meaningful, impactful, transformational program around wellness?
Yeah, and I can't stress this enough, because this is the one place where I really feel organizations can sometimes fall down. The wellness program is maybe designed by HR and what HR think employees need, as opposed to really understanding, and it's done in a very meaningful way, but again could have more impact if they understand what the problems are and design it based on that, really, because what we found is, people are coming to us going, we have a wellness program, but no one's engaging in it. And it's because they haven't kind of really looked under the hood. So we have a 4-step framework that we use called ACED, ACED. And the first step is really to audit. So like I said, understand the cause, the challenges, and also to understand what your purpose is for your wellness program. So again, you might want to show employees that you care, but for other organizations, I would question then, well, what's the knock-on effect then there as well, So it definitely is going to also have a knock-on effect on your bottom line, on engagement, on productivity, on your EVP, all of those different things. So really understanding the purpose is really important. The second then is co-create. And this is a strong focus at everything we do at the Future of Work Institute. We don't want to give our clients a carbon copy of another client's wellness program. We want to design it for you, with you, and make sure that it's tailored for your organization. So that's really, really important, is co-creating with the client and with the employees, because then they're more likely to engage in it. And that's the third area, is engage. And many organizations miss this step. They have their wellness program, they've got their implementation plan, they've got their comms plan, but they haven't done an engagement plan. And so this is really important, that it includes the SLT, the key stakeholders that you may have, any wellness committee members that you might have. And this is all important to ensure that it's driven and it's participated in. So for example, we have just designed a really cool tailored wellness brand for one of our clients, and it was really designed to help kind of knit all of the really great wellness activities that they have in their organization, and then help roll it out so that it increases participation. So it makes sense now to people. It brings them on the journey and it engages them in it. So it's little things like that that can have such an impact. And then the final one is drive. So once you've kind of ticked all of the other elements, we have a great program, we need to be able to measure it so that we can really drive continuous improvement using data and analytics. We all know what gets measured gets managed. So it's really important that, we use the data in a meaningful way, that we can show that it's had an impact. And then this also helps HR. If you want to go to your CEO next year and ask for more budget for wellness, you need to be able to prove that it's had an impact, on employees, but equally on the business bottom line. And that is really linked into the first step as well, into the audit and getting the purpose and the KPIs and all of those really, really fine details outlined from the very beginning.
Yeah, and I also, Elysia, I think one of the big things, just from working with you on this one over the last couple of years, was that broader audit across 8 areas really brings different perspectives to bear, and surprising insights, I would decide, which is really, I always say an insight should be surprising, otherwise it's not an insight. So I think that more holistic approach, I think, is something that we've really worked hard, I think, to make sure that that's part of this process. I have a kind of a leadership question for you, really, which is, obviously, wellness is, this kind of approach to wellness is, creeping more and more onto the C-suite agenda. From what you've seen and the work you're doing, how good are leaders themselves at managing their wellness, managing themselves, really? Because a lot of it sometimes, when we talk about wellness, it's really the impact a leader has on their team that is, as you know, from the research we've done, is a real impact on total wellness of a team. So, what are you seeing out there in terms of how leaders are taking care of themselves? Are they taking care of themselves better, or are they worse than what they were? Where are we at on the spectrum?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think COVID has probably set this back a bit for everyone, but particularly leaders, there's a lot more pressure. And definitely, I think wellness needs to come from the top. It's a very conflicting message to be saying we care about you and your well-being when you're still expecting people to work weekends, and you're sending emails at 10 o'clock at night. And I know that's happening right now, and that's the situation that we're in at the moment. Our spare rooms are our offices or our kitchen tables, and you might also be parenting in between work as well, and maybe 10 o'clock at night is the only time you have to send that email. Does that mean that it's okay? It kind of depends. You've got to set your boundaries, but equally the boundaries of the person on the receiving end of that as well. What impact did that have on their well-being? So I think that leaders need to be leading by example, particularly if we're talking about, the workplace becoming a place that enhances people's well-being and not diminishes it. So I think definitely there's kind of there's mixed messages there. I think leaders who potentially experience burnout previously are probably a little bit better on it than leaders who are just kind of burning the candle at both ends, which I think there's a lot of going on. We know burnout is huge at the moment, and it's across the board. You couldn't just say it's leaders alone, but I do think that there's a lot more pressure.
Yeah, that's great. So Elysia, I see lots of really nice comments coming up here. Lots of very positive comments, lots of very holistic comments too. So you're obviously hitting the thing. I see a nice comment coming in here from Damien. Not be a better time to launch such a comprehensive service. No such thing as best practice at such a dynamic time in history. Science is a core business function. Future is now. We'll take this type of future approach to make the most of it. Well done, Toll. Thanks very much, Damien. I very much appreciate that.
Thank you.
Here's an interesting one, Elysia, coming in from Danielle. I know this is something that we've worked hard on, particularly me in my bullish mode, saying, "What the hell, Elysia?" Typical KPIs that you like to work with. I think this is an interesting one. I think, Elysia, this probably brings in the model as well. So you might kind of give Danielle a answer.
Yeah, and this is quite interesting because, again, it comes down to the organizational goals. Traditionally, wellness programs would have been looked at kind of reducing sick leave costs or reducing health claims, and it would have been measured against that. Still seeing a bit of that, but more often people are looking at its correlation between absenteeism, because stress related particularly, so reducing absenteeism. And again, the KPIs really come down to also what the organization is measuring themselves. So we've worked with organizations where they wanted to improve performance, but they kept performance scorecards. So it was a really, relatively easy for us to be able to measure well-being against, performance if that's what they're measuring already. Or engagement scores is a really key one as well. If organizations want to showcase that perhaps their wellness program has had an impact on engagement, which therefore has a knock-on effect on performance, they can be KPIs that can be used internally to measure the success of the program. But really, ultimately, what I would recommend to anyone kind of considering what are our KPIs, what should we measure it against, sitting down with your SLT, aligning it strategically with your business goals. So what's the business goal here? And ultimately then what potentially should our KPI be? Because KPIs for company X won't be the same for the KPIs for company Y. Maybe company X has huge absenteeism issues and stress is really, really high. You need to investigate those kind of things. So again, it might change based on the organization. And what our model can do as well when we're tackling the root cause is it can look at, well, what are the areas employees are really highlighting as the biggest factor, or biggest contributing factor for their stress or their unwellness as such. It could be a number of across those 8 dimensions of wellness, or it could be leadership. And it might mean that, well, actually, in fact, what your KPI might be is upskilling your leaders to lead in a way that enhances people's well-being as opposed to diminishing it. And I think we've spoken about leadership a little bit, but I definitely think that we will see wellness evolve as to how lead and include leadership styles.
Yeah, gotcha. That's great. Thanks for that, Elysia. Again, lots of nice comments coming in here. I see also comments from our collaborator, Sahini. Thanks for that, Sahini. Obviously, we're working very closely with you, and we will continue to really move on. And I think the Impeel platform gives us great ability to measure and to track, which is one of the things that really appealed to us with that collaboration. So, guys, we're kind of coming near the end, unfortunately, Elysia. And I suppose, like I always like to say, how will people find out more about the Future Wellness offering? How can they contact you? Where can they find more information?
Yeah, so visit the cpl.com website, and you'll find it there. You can download a brochure, and we'll also put a link to it below here in the comments. We're also offering enterprise organizations complimentary wellness consultation. So if you're interested, there's a form on the website as well to apply for that. People can email me directly or DM me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so I'm always happy to talk wellness with people. So there's a number of different ways to kind of get in touch. Yeah.
Great. Thanks very much, Elysia. And I know out there, guys, any of you interested, there will be more of these kind of interviews and these interactions on the whole area of the future of wellness, over the coming months. So, stay tuned. So with that, Elysia, I'll just say, look, thanks very much. It seems weird interviewing you.
I know.
As a colleague, right? But look, it's great to see, us getting this out into the market. We've had it in the market for a while and kept it quiet. And it's really great to kind of see us, getting out there. And I should also say it's really part of that broader CPL strategy of this idea of transforming organizations through talent solutions. I think that's really right at the core of what the Future Work Institute is all about. So guys, with that, I'll say thanks very much for all tuning in. We've had a great turnout, lots of brilliant comments. Please do reach out to Elysia. She's very open, very collaborative, and we look forward to seeing you very soon. So thanks, Elysia, and thanks everyone.
Thanks so much. Thanks everyone. Bye.